This picture is a lie, not an innocent lie, a very dangerous lie. It argues that communism actually won the Cold War, presumably by taking over Western minds, corrupting Western institutions. This probably sounds familiar if you've been following this sort of thing for a while. It's 1940s and 50s paranoia. And you know what? It might have made sense in the 30s, 40s, 50s. What was true in the 30s, 40s, 50s? Soviet power was a real, genuine thing. You know, you had Stalin. You had him growing his influence, growing his empire. That makes sense. And it makes sense with Khrushchev. It makes sense looking at the post-World War II world of empires collapsing and shifting influences. It does not make sense now. It hasn't made sense for 30 years. What? China increasing its influence? Who cares about Vietnam and Cuba? This is not a liberal argument. This is a fascist argument. The fascists are saying the communists are infiltrating everything because they're the ones who want to infiltrate everything more. They have infiltrated everything. Consider the potential popularity of fascism in like the 90s. You know, sure, you had some bombers, Timothy McVeigh. But communism, that was laughed at in the 90s and the 2000s. Meanwhile, the fascists have more power now than they've ever had in decades. You know, they may not call themselves fascists, but their talks of mystical civilization, renewal through control, love of a coercive state for its own sake, as a preservation of civilization and race, those are not communist talking points. Those are fascist ones. The only way I can see it is, oh, hey, let's treat people equally. Imperialism is bad. Or, hey, kill the rich. Okay, fine. That's one idea. But hey, fascists, they say that too. They just, put adjectives before rich. Communists aren't infiltrating shit. They are loud and obnoxious. That's not an infiltration tactic. You know what is? Hiding your power level, saying we are the defenders of liberalism and people buy it. And they're not. Fascists pretend to be liberals. They pretend, yes, we defend Western civilization, free speech. They say that, and then when they take power, they take free speech away from people. I've seen it happen. Look, I was a Gamergator. All right. I was like, hey, wait a second. Why are feminists infiltrating geek spaces? This seems very stupid. And then a lot of people are like, yeah, that's right. Feminism is the enemy. And even liberalism is the enemy. Leftism is the enemy. And that was a gradual process. It didn't start out that way. And it didn't sound anything like what Matt Knowles and Michael Walsh and Knowles, those guys, those are traditional fascists. They're Fox News people for the internet age. Oh, you mean every conservative is a fascist? You know what? Conservatism is American fascism. Oh, what do you mean? That's just the freaking commie? No, it's not. This is what they do. They say, communism infiltrates all the institutions. But that's not how they work. That might have been true in the 50s with Soviet influence. Fine. But there is no Soviet Union anymore. China isn't interested in any sort of communist international. None of the communist states are. They might say, oh, hey, we're, building influence amongst ourselves like every other country does. But the idea, neoliberalism has achieved the globalization that Marxists could only dream of. And so to think that all these institutions are communist now, that's ridiculous. But to see the growth of fascism of the past, 25, 30 years, those are infiltration tactics. And they infiltrate by pretending to not be fascists at all. But once you know, it's easy to see when they talk about civilization, honor, like these are not strong definable terms. They're nebulous terms. So that means nefarious actors can hide. That's how it works. That's how infiltration works. When you have these, academic intellectual institutions who are like, oh, well, yeah, Marx is okay, I guess. Hey, look at this text. Like, okay, that's how historians work. But, and this has been going on like since the 1930s. Yeah, sure, 30s, communist power. Yes, absolutely. That's when they're gaining influence. But after the Second World War, fascists could go to liberal states and say, hey, we have to worry about those communists. They're the enemy. And in a way, that's true. But also, fascists could pretend to be liberals. Liberalism is important. Liberalism is vital, whatever its weaknesses. But fascists, they point, fight him, they say, as they infiltrate liberalism. That's what they've done for the past 30 years, and now they have what they want. It's literally the exact opposite of this meme. The exact opposite. You don't want people whose whole existence is based on mysticism and vagueness. That's all the fascists have to offer. Oh, yeah, strength, civilization, race. It's like, what even are these things? Communists, they're kind of crazy. I'll freely admit that. They've got their own little, religious, practically, dogmas. And they don't even update them for new ages. But they're very specific. They're like, oh, ask me this little thing. That's how communists are. And they're constantly infighting. Fascists, well, I guess they're now different factions of them are fighting over different things. We worship this nation. No, we worship this nation, But and it's all guttural. It's all pure emotionality. There's no reason there. Communism is like reason gone crazy, the Enlightenment gone crazy. Fascism is a rejection of Enlightenment, the rejection of mind. There's no intellectualism there. It's all, yeah, I am strong. And they gussy it up with all this mysticism. Man, I kind of like Curtis Yarvin for a bit. I was like, okay, this guy's actually thinking, not realizing he's just trying to justify all of his guttural feelings. That's all these people have to offer. And now they have state power, and they're wielding it. To what end? Chaos, corruption, murder, mass murder even, tyranny, oppression. Who wants that? I guess they want it to get a sense of meaning. Just like communism, they have the vision of the future and they seek to execute it, but they don't do it through infiltration. They do it through argumentation and loud organizing things. And it usually doesn't work. But of course, democracy allows for that. And that's how the fascists get in. They're like, we're protecting democracy from the commies. Like, no, you're not. The world we're in now it's madness. The 20th century is over. The post-20th century has been over for 30 years. I'm scared for the future. I don't know where we're going to go. But at least let's end this stupid lie that communists won the Cold War through infiltration, that they gained power through infiltration. No, they don't. They gain power through violent action. They take over countries by force, not through infiltration.